Hello guys, Greg back with another video. So as you can see today I've got Viktor and Rolf Antidote. So this one was a 2006 release. It's actually been discontinued already, apparently due to poor sales. But that's a real shame because it's a really good fragrance, but we'll talk a bit more about that as we go through. So it's classified as an oriental woody. There's too much going on in this fragrance, too many notes, too many twists and turns to categorise it as an oriental woody. To give you a bit more of an idea, I would say it's an oriental aromatic woody floral, and probably even that doesn't do it justice, but at least it gives you a bit more of an idea of what you're going to get from this. The perfumaires on this, and apologies if I butcher these, you've got Elena Massenet and Pierre Wagner. Now Massenet has created fragrances for tons of houses. Her best known work in the male genre, I guess, is Diesel's Only the Brave, which she also worked with Wagner as well as Olivier Polge. Wagner himself has been involved with many well-known main fragrances, mainly in collaboration, but Draca Noir was his own creation, which is probably his best known, and he collaborated on L'Homme and La Nuit de l'Homme for YSL. Now I have spent months and months with this fragrance. This bottle, as you can see, is almost full. This is a new purchase, but I did have two big decants which I had before, and I've worn this more than any other fragrance in 2013. With any fragrance that I review, I have to test them extensively before I will put a review out, and this one probably more so than any other because it's very, very complex. Simply due to the ton of notes in here, I had to go away and really stick with it, but I'm ready to go through and give my opinions now. Before I do, let's have a quick look at the presentation, because this is also very nice. So the box first, you've got this, let's try and just zoom a little bit. You can see V&R stamped on this, what is actually a piece of plastic attached to the bottle. It's supposed to represent candle wax in the way that they used to use candle wax many, many years ago to seal packages and envelopes, and that's what this is supposed to represent. Similarly, you've got this tape effect, which is to symbolise the sealing of a package or an envelope. Very nice detail, Viktor and Rolf and Antidote written on this tape. It actually isn't tape at all, it very much looks like it, but it's embossed into the box. So really, they've gone the extra mile on making this presentation look really, really classy. And that follows on with the bottle as well. So you've got Viktor and Rolf Antidote here on this lovely metal plaque. The candle wax theme continues on the cap. You can see this candle wax dripping down. You've got V&R embossed into the cap there. Nothing on the back, and then you've got your batch code, etc. there. I actually think that the cap looks like a top hat. That could just be me, but kind of given some of the opinions I think about the purpose for this fragrance, maybe that's what's led me to think about a top hat, but I could be talking rubbish. I do a lot. Let's take the cap off, have a look at the sprayer. Not sure how well you'll see this. But actually, it's not a bad spray. It doesn't distribute a huge amount of juice, but it's actually quite a good spray. So really nice presentation, a cut above what you'd expect from your standard designer releases. I think they've done a really good job with it. So let's get into the important part, what this actually smells like. I'm not going to list or go through and talk about all the notes in this because there's tons of notes. There's over 20 notes in this. What I will do is list them in a caption on the video. In fact, I'll put them there now so that anyone that really wants to look at them, you can look at those. I'll also put them in the description at the bottom of the video. But what I'm going to do is talk about what I actually get from the fragrance. So in terms of the opening, it opens up with citruses, mint and cardamom. Now the first initial spray, and probably for 5 to 10 minutes, the mint is very prominent, and then cardamom takes over, and for the rest of the top phase of the fragrance, it's very much about the cardamom. When you go into the mid, you get cinnamon, nutmeg and lots of florals. The florals in here, you get violet, orange blossom, geranium, jasmine and lavender. And it's always hard to be sure that you pick up everything that you smell in a fragrance, but in this one I think I can pick up probably all of those florals, which is very unusual. Certainly there's very prominent violet and jasmine in here, and absolutely they're detectable. The other really prominent note in the mid is nutmeg, so if you like nutmeg you're going to pick up a lot of that. When you move into the base, you get white musk, vanilla, incense, amber and iris. The iris does make this very powdery in the dry down, but in a very good way. It really, really is fantastic. You get some patchouli and some leather as well in the base. Dominant fat part of the base is incense. It's not a churchy type of incense, a strong incense. It's mild, more controlled, but definitely a lot of incense in the base. And the last thing that I really pick up is not listed in the notes. I get something very resinous in the base, which I think is labdanum. Amber and leather combined, which are in the base of this fragrance, can give a labdanum accord, so it may well be that I'm picking up. In terms of the characteristics of this fragrance, it's very hard to describe, but this fragrance kind of ticks every box of what... There's going to be something in here that everyone likes. So to tell you what I mean, it's fruity, it's smoky, it's woody, it's floral, it's herbal, it's spicy, it's very soapy. So it twists and turns and really, you know, it is very, very complex fragrance, and there is something in here for everyone. Trying to sort of paint a picture of what I get from it. I get almost a regal or aristocratic type of vibe from this. When I wear this, it makes me feel like I'm the most important person in the room. You imagine the person wearing this to have a real sort of tailored three-piece suit, a very expensive watch, slick back hair, driving a Bentley. That's the vibe. I'm not saying it's exclusively suited to that type of person, not at all, but that's the kind of vibe that it gives me. It's a very complex fragrance, I've said, but it's not one that in terms of being complex, when you spray you would immediately be sort of hit and challenged by a huge amount of complex notes. It's complex more in a way that every time you wear it, it changes and you get something else from it. It will smell different every time you wear it, and you'll pick up different notes every time you wear it. And if you do have the pleasure to get your hands on this, you'll really know what I mean when you do wear this fragrance, you know, over a period of time. So as I mentioned, the fragrance is discontinued due to poor sales. Doesn't surprise me for several reasons. Not at all because of the fragrance itself, because it's phenomenal, but it is expensive, and I'll tell you the prices shortly. But for a designer fragrance, this is right at the high end of you know, pricing. Bearing in mind, Viktor and Rolf also is not a well-known name at all to the average guy in the street. And I don't think I've ever seen a store with a tester for this fragrance. So the combined facts of this being very expensive and an unknown brand almost, to not have a tester is a pretty fatal error. So I'm sure that didn't help sales too much. Now, this one, I wouldn't say this is too challenging for the average consumer. I think there's something in here that, if you could get your hands on a tester and sprayed it, most people would pick something up that, at least if they didn't think, I love it, I want to buy it now, would probably go away and want to explore it a bit further. Probably more for people over 25, I would suggest. I don't see many school or college guys liking this at first sniff, because there's much more mainstream products that are designed specifically to catch you at that first 10 seconds, which this one does to me but won't to everyone. It's, in terms of the quality of this fragrance, this would be one that you would expect to have Dior or Chanel stamped on here. It really is a fantastically well blended, complex, quality product. Can't state that enough. It really, really is great. So purposes and occasions for this. Best suited to spring and autumn for me, sort of milder weather. I'm still wearing this in the depths of winter and really enjoying it, but the only time I wouldn't wear it is on really hot summer days. I keep saying this is a complex fragrance, but you know, conversely, it's actually also very versatile as well. I described it as having a regal kind of quality, but also is suitable for many other occasions. It's fine, perfect for work, definitely great for a date. I wouldn't wear it casually, just because I think it's too good to waste for that, but it would work. I mean, there's not many scenarios where the fragrance wouldn't work. In terms of ages, I mean, I mentioned it before, I think it's more of a mature person's scent, and whether or not mature means age or personality or persona or whatever, as a general guide, I'd probably say 25 and up is the best, you know, this would be best suited for that type of age group. Comparison-wise, there's parts of the fragrance that remind me of Eternity by Calvin Klein. There's little parts of it that remind me of Egoist by Chanel. Not sure what parts, but I do get that. Having said that, it doesn't actually smell like either of those fragrances at all, or anything else I've ever smelt. So it's a pretty unique one. I don't think you'll find anything that smells like this. Performance wise, average for me. I don't have particularly good performing skin anyway, so it's probably average. It's okay for me. 6 to 8 hours of total longevity I get with this, with about 2 hours of decent projection and sillage. So as I say, for me that's okay. Prices and sizes, comes in a 75ml and a 125ml option. 125ml is very hard to find now in the UK. I'm not sure what it's like in other countries. Retail pricing £65 for the 75ml and £79 for the 125. You won't see this in many stores. The only place in the UK you'll find it probably is Phoenix stores, but all of the main department stores are selling this product still online, even though it's discontinued. So your John Lewis's, your Debenhams, House of Frasers, etc. all still have this online. I would, simply due to the number of notes in this fragrance, I would not advise blind buying this. Which, you know, the fact that you can't get your nose on it makes it really difficult. It's a catch-22, because it'd be a real shame if you didn't get to smell this fragrance, but I wouldn't blind buy it because there's too much going on to be sure that you're going to like it. So finally, let's rate this one. For longevity on my skin, and this is for me given all of the characteristics and parameters for me, I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10. Projection and sillage, the same, 7.5 out of 10. For actual smell, no question at all for me that this is an absolute perfect 10 out of 10. Part of a very exclusive club for me. And being that smell is by far the most important factor for me in any fragrance, I'm going to give Viktor and Rolf's Antidote a perfect 10 out of 10 score. So there you go guys, that's the end of the review. This is one of the best fragrances I've ever had the pleasure to own. I absolutely love this, and I don't usually go over the top about fragrances. So if you get a chance, do get your nose on it, and please let me know what you think. Please do rate, comment and subscribe on the video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Cheers.